Welcome to the Fandom Rebel. What if the reason we care so much about movies, games, and fandoms isn't random? What if the reason certain stories stay with us, certain characters hit us so deeply, and fandom communities can feel so meaningful is because they're pointing to something bigger than just entertainment? Stick with me, because by the end of this, I want to show you why I think fandom matters more than people give it credit for, and why the stories we love may be waking up something deeper than we realize. You ever notice nobody's casually into a fandom? No, people love their fandoms. They rewatch the movies, quote the lines, collect the merch, go to conventions, build theories, and somehow still find room for one more collectible on a shelf that's been overcrowded for years. And honestly, I get it. Because fandom is never just about entertainment. Whether it's Star Wars, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, an anime, a game, Harry Potter, or whatever world first pulled you in, fandom gives us more than something cool to watch. It gives us adventure. It gives us connection. It gives us community. And it gives us a sense that there's something bigger worth caring about. That's why certain moments stay with us, like Luke staring out at the twin suns on Tatooine. That scene calls to us because it captures something so human, that longing for more, the sense that there has to be something bigger out there, and maybe we were made for more than the life right in front of us. I really believe that longing for adventure, meaning, and purpose is part of how God made us. Our hearts were made to reach beyond ourselves. And that's part of why this is personal. For me, this goes all the way back to when I was 8 years old growing up in the country of Panama. Before I ever even saw the movie, I saw Star Wars in a magazine. And something about it just grabbed me. Even living in another part of the world, somehow that story still found me. It sparked wonder in me before I even knew why. And now, here I am, 48 years later, still talking about it. That tells me fandom is doing more than entertaining us. It's reaching something deeper. And when you meet somebody else who gets the same story, there's an instant bond. You're not just talking about a franchise, you're talking about what it meant to you and why it still matters. That says something important about us. We want meaning, we want belonging, we want to be part of something bigger than our everyday routine. That's a big part of what the Fandom Rebel is about, because being a rebel here is not about being loud just to be loud. It's about pushing back against the noise, against the idea that wonder is childish, or stories are meaningless. It's about saying, maybe these stories matter more than people think they do. Think about the themes that show up over and over. In Star Wars, it's light versus darkness, hope, temptation, redemption, and sacrifice. In Marvel, it's ordinary people being called into something bigger, learning courage, responsibility, and becoming who they're meant to be. In Lord of the Rings, it's friendship, perseverance, humility, and the reminder that even small people can carry enormous purpose. You see it in moments like Sam carrying Frodo up Mount Doom. That scene is loyalty, love, and sacrifice. You see it in Tony Stark, snapping his fingers in Endgame. That moment hits us because it costs him everything for the sake of others. Different stories, different worlds, same kinds of questions. Who am I? What am I here for? What is worth fighting for? Can good overcome evil? Is there something bigger than me? Those are not just fandom questions, they're human questions. And that's also why fandom communities matter so much. People are not just looking for content, they're looking for their people. Someone to geek out with. Someone who understands why the story matters. That lines up with what the Bible says about us. We were made for community. Ecclesiastes 4 reminds us that if one person falls, another can help them up. Romans 12 reminds us that we are many parts of one body, different but connected. That longing to find your people and your place in the story is part of how we're wired. And honestly, that matters because we really are living in a battle between good and evil, not just in movies, in real life. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us that our struggle is not just against what we can see. There is a true enemy of our souls. And that battle shows up in the fight for truth, hope, identity, faith, and the kind of people we're becoming. That's why finding fellow rebels matters. We need people to link arms with, people who help us stand firm, people who remind us what's true when life gets noisy, confusing, or heavy. People who help us keep moving toward the light, because we were never meant to fight alone. And maybe that's one more reason fandom communities resonate so deeply with us. At their best, they reflect that longing to stand together in the fight, to resist darkness, and to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And there's another verse that connects here too. In Matthew 18:3, Jesus says that unless we become like little children, we won't enter the kingdom of heaven. I don't think that means being childish. I think it means being open, humble, full of trust, and full of wonder. And honestly, fandom can be such a picture of that, because fandom invites us to be amazed again, to step into wonder, to care deeply, to imagine, to believe there's still meaning, beauty, adventure, and good worth fighting for. In a world that constantly tries to make us more cynical, more distracted, and more numb, fandom pushes back against that. It keeps alive that childlike sense of awe that many of us lose along the way. And maybe that's part of why it connects so deeply, because that sense of wonder is not something we were supposed to outgrow. It may actually be one of the clearest reminders of how God made us to seek Him with open hearts. So yes, your inner 8-year-old may actually be onto something, but here's where it all starts to connect. I don't think fandom creates that longing. I think it reveals it. As much as fandom can inspire us, connect us, and bring us joy, even the best stories still leave us wanting more. Not because they failed, but because they pointed beyond themselves. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, God has set eternity in the human heart. That explains why stories about sacrifice, redemption, courage, and hope hit us so deeply. They resonate because there is something in us already reaching for meaning. Not just more content, not just more lore, something deeper. Acts 17 says God made us so that we would seek Him and perhaps reach out for Him and find Him. I love that because it means the search matters. And I want this channel to be a place where that search is welcome. A safe place for believers, longtime church people, people who have never opened a Bible, and people who just came here because they love movies and fandoms. You're welcome here. Really. Romans 15:7 says, welcome one another. That's the kind of space I want the Fandom Rebel to be. Not a place where every conversation turns into a lecture, just a place to explore, ask questions, and dig deeper into the meanings behind movies, fandoms, characters, and stories. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, test everything. Hold fast to what is good, because that's what we're doing here. We're looking at the stories we love and asking why they move us so much. And for me, that deeper truth ultimately points to God. Not in a forced way, not like every movie is secretly a sermon, but in the sense that the themes we love most, hope, belonging, redemption, sacrifice, light overcoming darkness, are echoes of what our hearts were made for all along. That's why scenes like Luke looking toward the suns, Sam carrying Frodo, or heroes laying down their lives for others stay with us. They remind us that we long for purpose, rescue, belonging, hope, and for a story where good really does overcome evil. So when a story makes us feel alive, when fandom creates real connection, when a movie scene hits something deeper in us, maybe that's not something to brush off. Maybe it's a clue. Maybe these stories matter because they stir up the deeper longing we already carry. The longing for truth, for meaning, for home, and ultimately for God. And maybe that's why this channel exists. Because the Fandom Rebel is for people who love the fun of fandom, but also want to know why it all hits so deep. A rebellion against all the noise. A rebellion that says wonder still matters, stories still matter, and maybe the things we love most are pointing us towards something even bigger. So, whether you're here for Star Wars, Marvel, DC, TV shows, collecting, faith, deeper meaning, or simple curiosity, welcome to the rebellion. You belong here. So thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for being a part of the rebellion. And I'll leave you with this. Seek and you will find. Matthew 7:7. Remember, the best stories always point beyond themselves. Until next time, stay faithful, Rebel.